Hey, welcome back to Planet Zoo. Welcome back to the channel. And this week, as you've probably noticed, there is no large cinematic entrance to a new episode of Wildlands, and that's because today we're going to be doing a little bit of a special behind-the-scenes sort of setup ahead of Season 2. Now, for those of you following along with the Wildlands season, you will remember that I mentioned I wanted to sort of renovate a lot of the earlier parts of the zoo, and that was because as we've gone over the last 6 months building, at least in my opinion, things have got a lot more detailed, and they've also had a lot more energy and life put into them, which I kind of felt like the first couple of episodes were not containing. So I wanted to use today's video, and in fact I'm probably going to do 2 of them. I wanted to use these videos just to give you a little insight into what I've changed, and obviously show off the new habitats and the new setups. Today we're sort of working on the entrance. Also at the same time, give you a little bit of an update on the channel, a little bit of how my thoughts are going with regards to the Planet Zoo content and where we're going with it, and just sort of ramble on into your ear for 20 minutes. So that sounds good. Feel free to stick around. First though, something I have forgotten many a time in the last couple of recordings is to just mention, if you do enjoy today's video, please tippy tap that like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and don't forget to pop an emoji of your choice down in the comment section, all for the sake of engagement. Oh, it's been a while since I've done that. And with that done, let's hippity hop on in. Okay, so the entranceway, we built this fairly early into the series, and the one thing I hated about it right from the get-go was the roof. It was too flat, didn't give it any shape, and I'd used inspiration from a local zoo where they had built this sort of built into a hillside style of entrance, and I really wanted to recreate it. So I did, but it just doesn't look enticing. So we're going to knock the roof off, and I originally wanted to make like a sunken in pyramid, sort of like a glass pyramid sticking out of the concrete, but the limitations of Planet Zoo and the pieces that we have when it comes to glass, however, I really struggled to get it to tie into the roof, and it started to take up a sizable amount of time. So my result with that was I would just basically make this more of a triangle, and it works. It's better. It doesn't feel as flat, doesn't feel as motionless. But I had actually originally considered rebuilding the entire entrance in somewhere different, and turning this just into an insect house, but that kind of got thrown out the window the more I looked into it. So this is the compromise, and I'm okay with it. Now, moving on the inside, however, it is time for Oscar to go to the Great Trade Center in the sky. He's not dead, he's just in storage, and we'll build him a habitat later on when we move on to Asia. Instead, I wanted to repurpose his habitat into something much bigger. And that's largely because one of my sort of pet peeves with the area immediately outside of the entrance was it's too big, it's too open, we're very flat, and we're not really playing with the sight lines very well. And one thing I've noticed from my trips this year to different zoos is that it's all about making the area feel bigger than it actually is by hiding what you can see at any given moment. And I think the biggest part of that was, let's break up those sight lines. Let's break up what you see when you exit the building. So rather than walking out onto this grand promenade of big thick paths and clear straight lines, we're going to add in a little bit of curvature and a little bit of hill and planting, and on top of that it gives us the opportunity to put in a much bigger animal for our entrance area. Now, the animal that I kind of settled on this time was the gharial, and I actually really like, as I've mentioned before, all of the crocodilian style animals that are in the game, and the gharial's a weird one. So obviously we don't have the saltwater crocodile in next, and I have a very great idea for what I want to build for that sort of Asian, Indonesia, I don't know, Sumatra, that sort of area. Something very, very similar in scale to our South American building, and that's the home for the saltwater crocodile. He is going to be a showcased animal rather than the entrance animal. So the gharial probably wouldn't have got a look in at that point, and I really like them. It's a shame. They are base game animals, so the animations are not as good as some of the download content animals, and the textures are alright actually, to be fair, but for example they don't have deep diving like all the other crocodilians do. And it's a little shame, but at the same time, I wanted to get him in. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a wonderful outdoor area that will let them bask in muddy pools during the daytime when it's warm enough, and then we want a sizable indoor area that's going to somewhat replace a backstage so that we don't have to build a further backstage area for the animal. And at the end here, I assume, I mean, I like it. I think it works. I think it works really well. And I also think it brings in a level of detail that is kind of missing from our main entranceway that has somewhat been adopted by other areas of the zoo. So that's what's going on screen. If you just want to see the build, then I suggest popping down the mute button now. Instead, I'm going to jump on into a couple of thoughts I've had on this, I guess, short break from Wildlands and sort of what we do next with the channel and going forward with Planet Zoo. So I made no attempt to hide in, I think either the last Wildlands video or the one before, that it's getting to a point where I'm a little bit concerned that the cadence of one video every week is making our habitats not as good. A lot of compromises are coming in, either for time or just because I run out of creativity while building on a particular day. But if we don't get it done that day, it isn't going to be out that week. So I want to make a change with Season 2 as we enter into another probably 6 months worth of Wildlands content, in that we're probably not going to hold to a 1 a week video schedule for Planet Zoo videos, at least, or certainly for the Wildlands series. And I realise that's disappointing for some, but a large part of that is that the channel was never solely going to be Planet Zoo. And it is that has taken off, and don't get me wrong, I am so happy all of you have chosen to join me on this channel, and it's been better growth than I could ever expect, certainly from where we started. But the original intention was to do simulators and tycoons and city builders and give me, I guess, breaks in between the creativity on certain items. So, for example, there is a whole world that I have designed on paper that I one day want to bring into a game as a visual form so that it can be explored and really looked at. And I may end up doing that on a separate channel. I may end up doing that on a separate game. It's certainly not something that will work with Planet Zoo, and I'm very aware of that, which is why we've not tried. It may work with Planet Coaster. We'll see. I'm kind of holding off for Planet Coaster 2 before I jump on into that. I have also recently picked up Prehistoric Kingdom, and we'll be doing a couple of videos on that as well. However, what I would like to hear from all of you avid viewers that are following on with the channel and with the Wildlands series is, what games would you like to see? What do you think would be interesting for me to check out, or do you think that really could do with a bit of creative building? I guess slant, somewhere I can go and express some creative building in, but not necessarily zoos. And it'd be great to hear sort of what people have found, because while I do try and keep an eye on all the games that are coming out, there is a lot of them, and it is completely viable that I may have missed 1, 2, 20, who knows. So if you're sitting there going, oh well, you know, I know this game and you should play this, pop it down in the comments. I'm always hoping that someone will come along with another gem that I've just not seen. So yeah, feel free to pop it down below if there is any games you'd like to see on the channel, and if there is enough support, we will certainly look into getting something put together. Now, something else I wanted to sort of squeeze into a video, and these type of videos are probably the only area where that really makes sense, is that I'm kind of thinking of working out ways that we could potentially bring more value to you as the viewer, whether that is some workshop items, whether that is more tutorials. Kind of liked with our download content pack preview zoos, where we could put them up on the workshop and you didn't have to wait 3 months to get your hands on something of value. So, for example, I have been asked for a copy of Wildlands as a blank canvas, and I've not forgotten. I know it's been asked for a couple of times. I've not forgotten. It will be coming to the workshop, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. In fact, it's on my list of things to do before we jump into getting Season 2 up and running, as well as getting all these custom signs sorted. I've got a notepad next to the computer here that has a list of things that need to be done. So yeah, that will be coming. That will be a thing on the workshop, and I will make an announcement in the community post section when that is ready for all of those that want to build their own zoo, but just using this sort of map that Wildlands Zoo is set in. I'm also looking to bring back and perhaps even embellish a little bit more that storyline aspect in season 2. I really enjoyed where we were going with that with Lord Coltham and the story of the zoo itself. I feel like that's probably fell off a little, and I find that when we do big buildings like that South American building, trying to generate a story when you're essentially just continuing the same habitat that you were building in the previous video can be a bit of a challenge. So I think I might change the format just a little bit, just so that we can include a little bit more storyline, but also more story development, and make sure that we keep that nice and fresh and nice and new. I do kind of want to bring in, I guess, a bit more of a change in format. So I've never been one for really quick speed builds, as you can sort of see on the screen. I tend to take a couple of clips of each bit and keep them at normal time rather than speeding it all up. I don't find them fun to watch, and I believe, at least from the feedback I've had, that a lot of people are not a fan of that speed build, I guess, format. So what I'm thinking of doing, and what I kind of wanted to do right from the very start, but I either lacked the editing skill or I lacked the preparation, was I originally wanted to create Wildlands more like a video documentary, I guess, family viewing, Friday nights at 4 p.m. On BBC Two type thing, where all the family gets together and watches half an hour of, oh, let's check in with the zoo and see what they've been up to. That sort of type of series. That's kind of how I envisaged it originally, and it never really quite got there. I also at one point wanted to make again, inspired by BBC documentary style, larger habitat style, I guess, animal documentaries. I know a couple of creators have made their own variants, but they're sort of in small snippets. My idea was to essentially build a big environment that could do 5, 6, 7 different videos of animal behavior. How supporting Planet Zoo is to that, I'm not too sure. That might be an idea for Prehistoric Kingdom, however, even though they've not got the management aspect or the zoo aspect really sorted as of yet. They have got the ability to make those big, vast areas without needing too much repetition. So that's an idea, and again, I'm open to ideas and thoughts and feedback from you guys as to what you'd like to see. I think the general gist of what I would like to make is going to be certainly of things with a more creative slant than just playing the game. So yeah, that's sort of what's been bouncing around my head lately. It's I do want to get away from that feeling of, oh, you're just a Planet Zoo channel. I don't want to lose the Planet Zoo aspect of it, because I do enjoy playing it, but it needs to be more than just Planet Zoo, because it's not going to be around for forever. It's not going to be a game that we can play for the next 10 years. Something else will come along, and I think accepting that and knowing that is kind of key part to it. For as much as the outcry from the community may be, we are nearing the end, and mods will give us another lease of life, but at the same time there is a limit to how entertaining this game can be when you're not just using it as a creative palette and you're trying to actually play it as a game. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite have repetitive gameplay when you look at it from a gameplay perspective. Now then, in the background there, we've pretty much finished up our habitat. I'm just going to whiz around and pop in a load of details. We're not going to go too heavy planting on this, because again, the gharials themselves would normally be on sort of the sandbanks of a river, and I wanted to get that sort of muddy, sandy feel to it. So we've got these sort of really shallow pools. We've popped a forage pool in there, just running some hose pipes out to each one. Same as the South American building. We're going to run cables, we're going to run pipes. I've also made some custom manhole covers for the paths so that we can jazz up the default Planet Zoo paths that are in the game and add a little bit more texture there. Inside, we'll have a couple of underwater plants, and then I'm also going to jump on in and use some of the green and blue rocks that we used previously underwater and use the same trick of firing a spotlight at them. So we get that nice, very warm glow above and that very sort of cool blue glow below. That worked really well for our other water habitats, and it's something I'm going to keep using because it always makes great thumbnails. So we'll keep adding these in as and where we can. But inside, the idea is it's just a pool. We want them really in the water, and then outside it would be more that muddy sandbank, certainly on the warmer days. And that's why we've got our path going all the way up around the back of the habitat. So you can sort of look, I guess, face to face at the same level as them. But then when you're on the ground level, they're almost above you because they're swimming in the water. We're going to use sparsely, I might add. We've learnt our lesson here. We're going to use the stranglerfig roots again, just to add a couple of bursting roots coming from some of our rock work. We're using a lot of temple brick and faux rock, and this is probably going to be a theme throughout the zoo as we move to that more idea of using fake rock made of concrete as opposed to really natural rock. I don't want a fully natural habitat. I want it to look like it's a zoo. The key thing of that is making things look fake enough that they look natural. And I think that's a trick that I've not quite mastered, but I think we're certainly getting there. We're going to have this giant fallen tree just slowly falling off the building and hanging out over the top here. And then our good old friend, the basket fern, makes a return. I still love these. They're up there with the hosta as far as random weeds go. We're also going to use the same logic we did with the jaguar habitat, where we're going to pop in some brambles and nettles and areas that the keepers are probably not going to get in to maintain, and it just gives the gharials somewhere to, I guess, hide away and keep out the view of visitors if they're feeling particularly stressed or particularly shy. And then finally, to finish up the planting, we're going to just pop a couple of reeds in. Again, I wanted it to be quite sparse, but the idea is the keepers will enter through a door down at the bottom of the ramp. So hiding that away so that the keepers can get in and out the habitat without the visitors seeing directly how just helps create that sort of, ooh, it's a small pocket of vegetation, a small pocket of habitat in an otherwise more modernized area. To finish us off, we're going to steal over our heat lamps that we made way back when we did our reptile house. I still love how these look, and I wanted that little orange glow on the inside. So I've popped a couple of those in, and with that we are complete. So let's have a jump on into the cinematics and see how it all turned out. And there we have it. It's a much larger habitat than we had before, but I actually like that. I wanted something with a little bit more oomph, a little bit more sort of showing off, and I love the way the glass turned out. I completely by pure fluke, but it just looks so nice having this big rounded glass tank on the inside of the entry hall. And then as you go outside, it's a much more traditional zoo habitat. We've got that fake molded rock, the little temple bricks, the weeds, the lovely sandy muddy shores, and on a warm day all of the gharials will be outside sunning themselves in the warm. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have not been too confused by my inane ramblings, but I felt like this was a great way to sort of get everything out my head into a video for you all, so you could sort of see where the channel's going, where I see the channel going. And as I say, I just want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you would like to see. Let me know what you'd like in season 2 of Wildlands. Let me know how you're doing today. Just pop it all in the comments below. Absolutely love responding to them all. If you enjoyed the video today, tippy tap the like button, and that gets it out to more people. If you've not subscribed, jump on in and join the family. Other than that, I will see you quite potentially next week with another and final one of these renovation videos. Following that, we'll be looking to jump into season 2 of Wildlands, and I can't wait to see you there. Goodbye.